Okay, it is 9:01. We are definitely going to go ahead and get started now. Like I said before break, we are starting a new unit. This is all about geometry. So we're going to start with area, and we'll talk about area of a couple different types of two-dimensional shapes. Later this month, we'll get into volume and then surface area, and then we'll talk about distances on the coordinate plane. I know I love geometry. Geometry was my jam when I was sixth grade, middle school age, and it definitely makes a lot of sense to me. This was always my favorite subject. So we have a couple vocab terms. I have area, composing, decomposing, quadrilateral, and polygon. Lot of vocab terms today. Our first term here is area. Area is a measure of the size of a two-dimensional or flat shape. And I've got about 10 people right now that need to turn their cameras on. I don't care if you're pointing it at the ceiling like Yair and Teo, but I need cameras on from, looks like 8 more now, 6 more now, 3 more now. Maritza, Josh, and Tony. Thank you, Maritza. A measure of the size of a two-dimensional or flat shape. One more time, area is a measure of the size of a two-dimensional or flat shape. Our next term here is composing. Composing means combining parts of shapes to make a larger shape that is easier to measure. Oh, I spelled that wrong. I wrote combing. Combining, there we go. Combining parts of shapes to make a larger shape that is easier to measure. One more time, composing, combining parts of shapes to make a larger shape that is easier to measure. Decomposing. Decomposing is breaking a shape into smaller pieces that are easier to measure. Again, decomposing is breaking a shape into smaller pieces that are easier to measure. I'll spend a lot of time doing this today, or I guess this week, decomposing. Decomposing is a very important skill to have. Our fourth vocab term is quadrilateral. And one thing that you should notice about the word quadrilateral is the beginning part of this word is quad. Anybody know what quad means? Type it in the chat if you know it. Yes, Tony. Yes, Dylan. Yes, Raphael. Yeah, quad means four. Whenever you see quad like quadrilateral, you should be looking for four things. So a quadrilateral is a shape with four sides. And a polygon is a shape with three or more sides and no curved edges. So this means that a quadrilateral is a type of polygon. All quadrilaterals are polygons, but that doesn't mean that all polygons are quadrilaterals. You would have triangles, octagons, pentagons, notagons, decagons. Those are all different types of polygons. So now we're going to get into guided practice. I've got four shapes here, and what we need to do, we need to find the area of these shapes. So, Dylan, what is the name of this shape here?
A rectangle.
Yes, and rectangle. In order to find the area of a rectangle, we need to do length times width. Now, when you do these, I highly, highly recommend that you write out the formula. So everybody next to this shape that you just drew in your own paper, this is a 5x2 rectangle, should have area equals length times width. And now we can go through and find the length here, and it doesn't really matter which one is which. The length is 5. The width is 2. And then I can simplify these. 5 times 2 gives me 10. And Teo, you're almost correct. You're missing something very important. The area of this is not 10. I'm missing something important. The area is what? What am I missing from this answer here? Yair, what am I missing from this answer? Yes, Dylan, that's perfect. Yeah, you might have missed the question. I'm looking at this answer. What am I missing from this answer here? Area equals 10.
The unit.
Yeah, the label. It's called a label. Exactly. So, Elena, when you find the area, actually, I'm not even going to ask that. I do want to show you guys something. So, actually, it doesn't work too well with this because I screwed up. So, when you find the area of anything, you are trying to figure out how many squares go into that shape. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares in this shape. That means that the area of this rectangle is 10 feet squared. The label is important. If you are answering things that don't have a label, and for those of you wondering, okay, when I type an answer in, if I don't want to do superscript, how do I type this in? All you have to do, you can type this little caret, that's called a caret, or you can write square feet. Either of these works for a label. Yeah, Taylor, that works too. You can do feet squared. I don't care. As long as you have feet to the second power or square feet or feet squared. Doesn't matter. Now this next shape. Elena, what is this next shape?
A triangle.
It is a triangle. Skylar, do you notice anything about how this triangle relates to this rectangle?
It's half, basically cut in half.
Perfect. Perfect answer. It's half. If you were to look at this rectangle and draw a line diagonal, you would end up with this shape. So when we find the area of a triangle, and this is any triangle, you do base times the height, and then you, just like Skylar said, divide it by 2. A lot of the times you'll get a problem that does this: 2 feet by 5 feet by 6 feet. When you find the height, you need to look for the thing that is straight up and down. If you have something diagonal like this, this is not the height. When you measure how tall something is, you measure how tall it is from the floor to the top, straight up and down. If I were to measure a person, I would not measure like this. Oh, this person is 2 inches tall. But if you go and measure like this, oh, this person is actually just 1 inch tall. So when you measure the height, you need to go from top to bottom here, which means the height is 5. So I have a base of 2, a height of 5, and then I need to divide that by 2. So when I simplify, I do the multiplication first. 2 times 5 gives me 10 divided by 2. And Damien, 10 divided by 2
5.
gives me 5. And then Adrian, what is my unit for this? What's my label?
It is in feet.
Feet what?
Squared.
Yeah, feet squared. Just because this is a triangle doesn't mean that you change your label. I'm still trying to figure out how many squares this triangle takes up. Now up here, it's just a small portion. But then as you get smaller, you have 1, 2 full triangles, and you have like 3 if you combine this. And then like if you combine these next few, you would end up with 5. So 5 feet squared. The label for anything when you find the area is square units. And that part that I mentioned about height is going to come into play here. We have another triangle. I have 7 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and 8 centimeters. Since it is a triangle, I'm going to use area equals base times height divided by 2. Emily Loa, what is the base of this triangle?
The base is
Yes, Damien. Emily, what is the base of this triangle? If you were to draw a person as tall as this triangle, the base is whatever the person is standing on. So the base is here. That means the base is what?
7.
Is 7. So I have a base of 7. Now here's the tricky part. Jenny, what is the height of this triangle?
The height of the triangle is
And before you answer, remember height is how tall something is from bottom to top. Look at how tall this person is. Look at how tall the triangle is.
4 centimeters.
Yeah, the person here is 4 centimeters. The triangle here is 4 centimeters. Great job on that, Jenny. Rewriting the rest of my equation, I divide that by 2. Emily H, 7 times 4.
28.
Now divide that by 2. Nazareth, 28 divided by 2 gives me
14.
14. What is my unit here? What's my label? Fatima.
Excuse me?
What is my label? Close, Damien. Close, Teo.
7 centimeters?
That's the base. The base is 7 centimeters. But what is the area of this triangle? 14 what? Yes, Teo.
14 centimeters?
Close. 14 centimeters. What did she...
Manuel, stop it.
Maritza, what did she forget? 14 centimeters.
Squared?
Squared, exactly. "14 centimeters squared." This is all the work you need to show. You don't need to go through and show a bunch of work. It's literally writing 10 different numbers. Writing 10 numbers does not take very long. Please take the time to show your work on these. Now, this shape has no name. It's called, well, it does have a name. It doesn't have like a math name. It doesn't have like square or rectangle or triangle. This is just called an irregular polygon. And when we get irregular polygons, we need to break them apart. When you break something apart, Tony, what is that called? Using one of our vocab terms, what is it called when you break a shape into smaller pieces? What's up, Yair? Anthony, what is that called when you break a shape into smaller pieces?
Decomposing.
Yeah, I need to decompose. So when I get irregular polygons that look like this, I need to decompose them. Now, when you look at this shape, you should see a couple of things. You should see that it comes to a point and it has a diagonal line like this, just like a triangle. So what you should try to do here, and when you get a problem like this, yeah, if you have a question, you can type it in the chat. I'll try to respond. When you get a shape like this, you should try to break it up into different shapes. When you have the different shapes, that means you can find the area of those different shapes and compose them into one area. Now, I'll give you a hint here. You can decompose this shape into 3 different shapes. Look closely. Where could you draw lines to decompose this shape? Teo has an idea. Jeremy, what do you think? Where could I break this shape up to create 3 different shapes?
Like right in the middle, and it would make a rectangle, a square, and the triangle.
Right in the middle, right here?
No, like where there's 2. Yeah,
here?
right there. Yeah.
Okay. So if I break that here, I have this, which is a trapezoid, and then I have this, which is another irregular polygon. Gabriel, any ideas here? Where could I break this up? Or how could I break this up to get 3 different shapes? I do see some other hands.
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, I'm looking at this shape here and I need to decompose it into 3 other shapes. Where could I break this shape up? Jeremy said that we should try to break it here, but then we have an irregular polygon and a trapezoid, and I don't know how to do those yet.
Right there, that line in the corner.
The other corner.
And then do what?
No, the line where it's going down. Down. Right there.
Okay,
Up.
and then do what with this?
Up.
Okay, so I have now a triangle. Is there a way that I can draw just one more line
Yeah, right there where you just were.
right here
Uh-huh.
and go across?
Yeah.
So if I go across, then I have a triangle, a rectangle, that's great. But then I still have this irregular polygon down here. So I like your first answer. Ruben, what do you think?
Make a one below from the middle.
Right here?
Right there. Yeah.
And then go down?
Sideways.
Oh, you want me to go across like
Yeah.
that? Okay. Yeah, now actually from this point, I could have gone down. I could have just drawn one line straight down and I would have a triangle, big rectangle, small rectangle. But Ruben's is a good idea too. I can go straight across here. Now I have a triangle, a rectangle, and another rectangle. So I have triangle A, rectangle B, and rectangle C. I need to find the area of all three of these shapes. Caitlin, what is the formula to finding the area of a triangle? Triangle A. How would I find that? What is the formula here?
Probably by counting like the squares.
But do I have a formula? Like I have formulas here. What formula do I use for a triangle?
BA.
Base times height and then Teo says divide by 2. So for the area of A, I need to do base times height and then divide that by 2. What about for a rectangle? How do I find the area of a rectangle, Raphael? Welcome back, Raphael. How do I find the area of a rectangle? You're gonna have to be more specific than that. I used a formula. Caitlin and Teo told me that the area formula for a triangle was area equals base times height divided by 2. Look back at your notes. We already covered this one. Yes, Damien. It was the first shape that we did. How did I find the area of this shape up here? You should have it in your notes, right? Area equals what for a rectangle? Nazareth, that's for a triangle. Not E, that'd be W. Sorry, L. So length times width. And then C down here is another rectangle. So that means I would use length times width. So what I'd like you guys to do is take 2 minutes to find the area of A, the area of B, and the area of C. Yes, Raphael. 2 minutes. Solve that on your own. Go ahead. Tara, write that down in your notes. 20 seconds. Okay. So for the triangle, I have a base of 1, 2, 3, and a height of 1, 2, 3. 3 times 3 divided by 2. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 divided by 2 gives me an area of 4.5. Now, it does not tell me feet or centimeters or inches or whatever. So my label for this is just regular old units. That's U units squared. This rectangle here, rectangle B, is a length of 1, 2, and a width of 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 2 times 4 gives me an area of 8. Again, this is units. So units squared. And then my last rectangle down here, 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 3 by 4 rectangle. 3 times 4 gives me 12. The label is again units squared. Now, this is not a complete answer. I need to find the area for this entire shape. Using these areas here, how would I find the area for the entire shape? Uriel, what do you think? How could I find the area for the entire shape if I have these areas of the smaller polygons? Raphael and Dylan, I agree. Uriel, what do you think?
We could add the totals.
Yep, totally agree. So I have 8. I like to save the decimals for last. So I have 8 plus 12 gives me 20. 20 plus 4.5 gives me 24.5. And a lot of people want to add the 2's here and say like units to the 6th power. This is still area. We're still counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The number of units squared. Can you guys see that? There. So I'll zoom out a little bit and show you guys all of the shapes here. If you have anything written down from today's notes, it should be the area formula for a rectangle and an area formula for a triangle. You need to have these down because all of your work this week will be asking you to use these equations. The more you write them down, the faster you memorize them, and then you don't have to write them down. All right.